What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Pick Six Podcast, CBS Sports Daily NFL Podcast. I'm Will Brinson. I'm your host. It's time to get down to business and talk about some Week 3 picks. You can jump in the feed. Today is Friday, of course, September 25th. You can jump in the feed. You can listen to the recap of Thursday Night Football between the Jaguars and the Dolphins. A thrilling Battle of Florida. But for now, let's get to the Week 3 picks. Make sure download, subscribe, rate, and review. If you hit hey, by the way, parlay, Pick Six Podcast parlay, bang, bang, 2-0 on the season. We are sweeping it right now. Joining me to find another parlay. And by the way, if you like the parlay, leave a 5-star review and tell us what hit. If you got your own parlay, et cetera, I don't know, just leave whatever you want on the reviews. 5-star reviews, questions asked, go to the mailbag. We'll hit them. Tan and White, White and Tan. Kenny White, RJ White, and Pete Prisco joining me. What's up, fellas?
Yes, sir.
My tan is fading. It's been raining in South Florida too long.
He's
still way darker than us. Wow. But look at Pete next to Will. Will, you look like
I think Will went to lights on. I'm gonna kill my lights. I think I'll look.
Will went to Hawaii for 2 weeks and it rained the entire time.
I mean, yeah, like I'm not even pale, and like I just next to Pete.
You look pale. You look pale.
But I'm not. I don't know.
I don't know how you could be pale as much as you play golf.
Never pale when football season starts, just by the end of it.
Yeah.
All right. We have minimal time, so let's get down to business. Week 2 records. Pete 5-1. I went 4-1. Kenny 2-1. RJ 3-3. RJ got conservative, took some picks off. He would have been like 7-3 if he'd stuck them on there. That has me at 8-1. Pete 9-2. These are on the best bets. So not all the bets. We make our best bets. Pete 9-2, Kenny 2-1, and RJ 9-5 on the season. Scorching hot, fellas. Let's keep it rolling.
Don't forget we hit the parlay.
That's what I'm saying. We hit the parlay twice. Spoiler: I didn't bet it again like an idiot. So I guess I can't ever bet it.
Don't bet it. Do not bet it. You're going to screw it for everyone else.
I won't bet it. We'll just keep hitting it.
Yeah, you're a walking mush. Don't do it.
Because I think I bet them all last year and they all lost. So I'll stop. I won't bet them, but they're hitting like crazy. Chiefs at Ravens. That's our first game. The Ravens at home on Monday night, -3.5, over under 54.5. Pete, I know you love some scoring. You love some offenses. Do you like the over here?
Love the over here. And the reason I love the over here is we haven't seen the best of Patrick Mahomes yet. And I told you last week I thought would slow him down because they've done it before. They make him play patient, and he doesn't like it. Well, the Ravens don't make you play patient. They'll come after you, attack you, and blitz you, and the big plays. I think the Ravens will get their big plays as well. I do like the Chiefs a little, but I love the over in this game. I think it's going way over it. I think you're going to get this in the 60s.
Yeah, I'm flipped on Pete. I kind of like the over too, but my best bet is the Chiefs at +3.5. I think we're getting an extra point here because the Chiefs offense struggled versus that great D that knows them well. Like Pete is saying, this is going to be a different game here. Kansas City won 33-28 last year in this matchup, but that game was 30-13 to start the fourth quarter. Kansas City was rolling, and then Baltimore pulled it close late. And that Kansas City team last year split running back snaps in that game between Darrell Williams and LaShawn McCoy. Now they have Clyde Edwards-Helaire. That makes a huge difference. So KC is unquestionably one of the top 2 teams in the league. Nobody's going to debate that. And we can get them here at more than a field goal. You got to love that. I don't care who they're playing. So take the points here with the Chiefs. Best bet.
I'm going to be opposite. I had a chance. I laid 2 last week, early line. I thought, how could this be 2? I think there's a drastic difference in defensive players on both these teams. I have the Baltimore defense 7.5 points better than Kansas City. I had Baltimore rated 3 points higher than Kansas City last year, and they got upset by Tennessee. I still don't know how they lost to Tennessee, but they did. But they were the best team in football last year, and they're the best team in football this year. Last year, they were playing at Kansas City in week 3. Lamar Jackson wasn't who he was at that point. Then they went on. They lost the next week to Cleveland, and then they went on a roll and didn't lose again until they were upset by Tennessee in the playoffs. But this is a very, very solid football team, and John Harbaugh, he gets the most out of his players. He's got talent, and he's getting the most out of it. They are by far playing way better football than Kansas City is right now, and I think this game means way more to Baltimore than it does the Chiefs.
I got to say, the thing that throws – like, I look at this game, I'm like, oh, Mahomes getting 3.5. I will take that all day. The Ravens are awesome. They dominate good teams at home frequently. And the 3.5 kind of stinks. Like if it were 2.5, I feel like I was trying to get tricked into taking the Ravens. Now with 3.5, it's like the more you look at it, you feel like you're trying to get tricked into taking the Chiefs. Am I overthinking it there?
Maybe a little.
Yeah, you're overthinking it. Just take the 3.5.
Three is such a key
like
number. 3 is such a key number. And, teams in the NFL, they're not looking to cover spreads. They're looking to win games. So if Baltimore wins by 3, it wouldn't surprise me.
Okay. I got the Chiefs plus the 3.5, but not as the best bet. RJ has them as the best bet. Pete has the over. I'm fine with the over too. It's a lot of points. I will certainly be rooting for points on Monday night. Who won't be? Packers at Saints. Oh, can't imagine that we'll have any disagreement on this particular game. The Saints are -3. The over-under is 52.5. I know who the hell you're taking, Pete. So go ahead.
My God, did you watch the Saints defense on Monday night? They made Derek Carr look good. He's not good. I mean, Rodgers in that offense, and I'm concerned about Adams not being there. If he's not there, that's always concerning. But that offense is going to get the ball to Aaron Jones in the passing game. If Adams isn't there, I think you'll see Rodgers put up big numbers. They'll run the ball. That defense was awful. And let's not forget, third-team right tackle Denzel Good matched up against Cam Jordan in that game, and they had a rookie left guard in the game as well, and just own that defense. About Breeze driving the ball down the field, I'm much more concerned about the way the Saints defense played than that. But of course I'm taking the Packers. You're going to give me points. They're going to win this game outright. You guys have them. You can have all you want of the Saints. I'm taking the Packers.
Yeah, you talk about defenses that look bad. How about that Packers defense in week 1 against a terrible Minnesota offense that went into Colts, and Kirk Cousins had, 0.0 passer rating through 3 quarters. So I don't know that I love them either. Look, the Saints, that's what they do early in the year. They 3-12 against the spread in the first 2 weeks since 2012. They reverted to form after week 1 cover versus Tampa, where I thought that they were actually, switching things up and they were going to just start rolling this year. But no, it went back to the slow starting Saints that couldn't even win on Monday night against a team that's just middle of the road. But then New Orleans is also 13-2 against the spread in weeks 3 and 4 over their last 15. So I think that trend's going to play here. It's a wake-up call after losing to the Raiders. They'll be in for this game. Devontae Adams' injury is huge and negates the Michael Thomas injury if he doesn't play. And the line was New Orleans 5.5 on the look-ahead line. Got to think 3 is a great value here on New Orleans. So best bet for me, Saints.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm on the Saints as well. And it's all about what game is important. And the Saints, the game that was important to them was Tampa Bay. Tom Brady coming into town, division game. They won that game. They felt great about themselves. Come into Vegas, they started out well, but things didn't go right after that. And the Raiders really came through on their home field. The Saints were penalized heavily on some big plays that really cost several drives in that football game. It was like one after another. I kept seeing them after making a nice play, getting it called back. And it's amazing how many people are talking about Drew Brees' arm strength. He doesn't have any anymore. That's what I was saying 5 years ago, but the guy still had 4 great years and he still throws the ball well between the 20 yards. He hits his guys in stride in 20 yards. He's still going to have a big season.
Yeah, I'm on the Saints too here. It was if you wanted to back the Saints against the Packers, and I would have wanted to do it anyway. I don't know about 5.5 because that's a lot, but if you wanted to back them, the best case scenario happened on Monday night when they lost to the Raiders, and everybody watched it, and everybody. I mean, all the talk this week is Drew Brees washed up? Is he finished? Is he toast? And that was what we were saying about Aaron Rodgers the last few years too. Obviously, the first 2 weeks he's proved us wrong. They ain't played nobody. The Saints are by far the best defense they're going to play, Pete. Saints are going to be.
You were saying Aaron Rodgers was washed up last year. He threw 26.
No, you accused me of saying.
You're a
that.
moron.
You accused me of saying that.
Well, you kind of hinted at it.
I didn't hint at it. I said
yes, you did.
He's on the downside of his career.
What are you talking about? I mean, okay, he's not going to throw 45 touchdown passes, but he can throw 35.
Is he in his prime?
Huh?
Is he in his prime?
I mean, prime was probably about 4 years ago. He's not in his prime.
Okay, so Aaron Rodgers on the backside of his prime, a.k.a. the downside of his career. I don't know.
He's not on it.
At any rate, the point being is that the Saints are going to beat that ass. 10-point win by the Saints. Cover. I don't mind the over either, but I love the Saints in this spot. Pete, you can stomp up for the Packers if you want some more. We can move on.
Oh no, I think the Packers are going to the Super Bowl. I picked it before the season. I'm sticking to it.
I do.
Sticking to your Lions winning the division pick.
I'll tell you this. What did you say? The Lions?
You sticking to the Lions winning the division pick
until it's dead. I'll say this. if I had a team that I was high on and everybody else was down on, and they came out and whipped everybody in the first 2 weeks of the season, and then they were dogs on the road in week 3, I'd be backing them too. So I don't blame you for backing the Packers. I just think you're on the wrong side. Cowboys at the Seahawks. Whew, hope you like offense. Seahawks -5. Over under 56. Kenny, what do you think about this game?
Yeah, this one's all about numbers for me. I don't have that big of a difference between the two teams, and no home advantage, no crowd there. This number just looks awfully big to me at 4.5 even now. There's 5s out in the market. I think it comes down. Seattle comes off a win over New England, which was major, but New England's not very good. New England is a below average NFL team and was 1 yard away from winning the football game. So, Atlanta's not very good either, but Atlanta's barely better than an average football team. They're 1 point better. Dallas struggled with them and gave up points, and that's because of all the injuries with 2 offensive linemen out, both tackles. That's big. But they still are only 3 points worse than Seattle. So I've got to take the 5 in the game, even with all those injuries. If Dallas had everyone back, they're a 3-point favorite in this game.
That sound you hear is Bill Belichick clipping that video of Kenny saying that they're not a very good football team. Seattle looks like the NFC favorite right now, but that means this line is inflated. Look ahead was 3.5, and the results we saw on Sunday is what pushed this up to 5. Dallas, I thought actually beat Atlanta pretty handily, but those fumbles killed them. The fake punts killed them. And that patchwork Dallas offensive line only allowed 1 sack versus Atlanta. Now they play Seattle, who's a team that also doesn't have a pass rush. Bruce Irvin's out. Per CBS Sports Research, Seattle gave up 9.1 yards per play in 29 plays with no Irvin versus 6 yards per play with this year. So it's been a much worse defense when Irvin hasn't played. And Dak showed he can rally back when needed. And I'm going to throw out this stat. These 0-2 against the spread teams are who you want to back in week 3. Teams that are 0-2 against the spread are 22-7 against the spread the last 4 seasons in week 3 and 27-48 in the last 10 years. So all throughout this podcast, I'm going to be harping on these 0-2 against the spread teams, which Dallas is one. So love them. They're a best bet for me too.
And they're a best bet for me too. I love them in this game. I think Seattle wins the game, but by a small number. It's going to be a lot of points. I do think they're going to go up and down the field. I do like the over in the game, but I love the Cowboys in this spot. Seattle can't rush the passer. I mean, let's be honest about it. They're terrible rushing the passer. That's why Cam Newton looked awesome the other day, and I think Dak Prescott's going to do the same thing. So you're going to give me 5. I'll take it. I think they cover that. They're going to be right there at the end, might win the game.
Seattle, go ahead and put it in the parlay. Cowboys +5. I have the over as a best bet, but I like the Cowboys here too. It's just too many points. Like, you're talking about a game in which you expect 56 points. The variance is just too wild not to take more than a field goal from one of these teams. And look, did the Seahawks cover 4.5 against the Patriots? Absolutely. But the Patriots easily could have hit the money line, and they easily could have covered that 4.5 or 5, depending on wherever you got it. They were right there at the goal line, and you had you have a 2-point conversion that gets missed, et cetera, et cetera. There's just too much variance. I want to be on the side that's catching points there. And I do think when you talk about there's no pass rush, they stink in the secondary too. They can't cover anybody in the they couldn't deal with Julian Edelman and N'Keal Harry and Damiere Byrd. And now they got to deal with Michael Gallup, Amari Cooper, and CeeDee Lamb. I mean, this is going to be a major problem for them. I also think this is the week Michael Gallup has a breakout big-time game that people have sort of been waiting on the last 2 weeks. So the first leg of our Pick 6 podcast parlay, Cowboys +5. Put it on the board, Debo. Raiders at the Patriots. Patriots -5. Over under 47.5. Pete, what do you think?
I think the Patriots have all kinds of issues. And Belichick somehow, some way finds a way to scheme around them because they're not a good football team. I'm with Kenny. I don't think they're that good. And the Raiders can score, but I just think this is going to be one of those games where the Raiders could get a late touchdown to cover the number, or the Patriots could get a late field goal to cover the number. So I'd probably lean to the Raiders in the points, but I don't love it. So it's not one of my best bets, but I would probably lean to the Raiders in the game.
They're 4th and 1 away, 4th and goal on the 1 away from being 2-0. And that came against one of the best teams in the NFC. I think everybody would agree. So I'm not ready to put a fork in this team yet. I think they're still good. My best bet is Patriots -5. Big letdown spot for Vegas after a huge primetime win. Belichick looks like he hasn't stopped working since that goal line stop last week. He's been grinding through tape. Over the last 5 years, New England is 9-4 against the spread after a loss, third best mark in the league. Vegas is 11-19 after the spread against the spread after a win. Worst streak there in last 30 games. So this is a spot where you love to hammer New England. Derek Carr is also 1-4 against the spread on the road in a short rest game. He's due to regress in this matchup after a big game last week. I don't think he's going to come out here and light up the scoreboard every single week. So this looks like a great spot to the Patriots for me.
Well, I have the Raiders 3.5 points higher rated than the Patriots. Just pure talent. Yeah, I'm taking the points. I know all of the intangible information with the Raiders playing Monday night, short week, travel and east, playing the Patriots off a loss. Throw all that out the window. The Patriots don't have Tom Brady, and they don't have Donta Hightower. They don't have Marcus Cannon. They have several injuries. Bo Allen's out. Matt Lacrosse, the tight end, left. He's a meaningless player, but they lost too many players. Their defense is beat up. Patrick Chung no longer there. This is a team that's, like I said, they're a below average NFL team, and the Raiders have impressed me so far. I've got to make, I have to make adjustments, and I adjusted the Raiders up. I think they played well. So far in both games offensively. Their defense isn't great, but again, neither is New England's. New England's defense I've got ranked in the bottom 10 in the NFL.
The Patriots defense might not be great. It's entirely possible. They got a lot of young players. I think they're struggling to get home with the pass rush sometimes. And I still think Stephon Gilmore's a stud, but maybe DK Metcalf's just unstoppable. I'm taking the Patriots here. I think it is a slammer of a pick for most of the reasons that RJ mentioned. Belichick, 72% after a loss against the spread. And now he's at home, and John Gruden's coming to town, and the Raiders are peacocking and celebrating the big win in Vegas, and they're traveling on a short week. Josh Jacobs is banged up and on the injury report. Henry Ruggs is downgraded to questionable. There's all kinds of issues, I think, with this Raiders offense. And, if Jacobs can't go, they're going to lock down Darren Waller. And then good luck with running Jalen Richard. If Jacobs does go, I think they just concentrate on stuffing the run and force Derek Carr to throw all day, and he's going to dink and dunk and all of that. The Raiders' defense is abysmal. Cam Newton will have a field day with it. They will run the ball a ton. They will move the ball. They will slow down the clock. The Patriots will dominate in this game. I love the Pats. -5. I think I got it at -6, so a little annoyed at the line move, but don't mind it. I also sort of like the under here, even though both defenses aren't very good. Speaking of unders that look pretty tasty, the Buccaneers are at the Broncos. The Bucs are -6, and the over-under for this Tom Brady, Jeff Driscoll shootout, Kenny, is a whopping 43.5.
You said Denver was at the Broncos. I was trying to look for the Broncos.
The Buccaneers are at the Broncos. Excuse me. Yeah, I make a mistake every couple of years in this podcast.
Oh, I do as well. Now, my question is, the NFL is like the stock market in every single way. You could look at so many different categories, and one is offensive holding that I'm looking at. It's a stock that's starting to go up. When it was way down, there was the last year in weeks 1 and 2, there were on average 85 offensive holding penalties last year. This year, 15 in week 1, 30 in week 2. The average total on the board this week is 47.5, when the average total over the last 3 years has been 43. So the totals are up 4.5 points because holding, quarterbacks have had time. How long does the NFL allow that to go on? It's going to change. You can look back at holding penalties for years. It goes up and down per week, but it's amazing after 2 low weeks how high it does go. I think holding will be the call of the week for NFL officials on the offensive lines, which is going to bring back big plays. It's going to create more second and third and 20s than there were the first 2 weeks. So I'm going to go under in this football game with Tampa and Denver. Tampa's defense has impressed me. They look amazing against the run, and I think that's what Denver's really going to have to try to do. I thought they were a little too aggressive last week. Big Fangio's way over his head in play calling. His game planning is terrible. He has no idea what he's doing, but he is a defensive coordinator. I think they have to be conservative in this game, and I think Tampa Bay feels that they have to be conservative with Tom Brady as well. I think they know right now they can't throw it around the yard. They have to establish the running game. And I think it's Denver's defense. Again, I keep saying it's a good defense. I like the game under 43.5.
Denver is 4-1 against the spread as a home dog under Fangio. So at least he does get it done at home, when the chips are stacked against him. I don't have a best bet in this game, but I also lean to the under. I'll bet Kenny's play there. Tampa D has been inconsistent so far. It's going to be a lot easier when they don't have to face Drew Lock, Cortland Sutton, and Phillip Lindsay in this game. So Denver barely lose Driscoll as a runner last week. That's his strength. I want to see if they open it up a little bit with him. But I would lean to Denver and lean to the under, but I'm not playing either one.
I'm with you, RJ. I would lean to the under, but I would lean to Tampa Bay. I don't love either side on this game. I would probably lean to the under. So, Kenny, you like the under. I'm in agreement with you on that, but no best bet for me.
Well, I've got the under as a best bet as well. You guys want to put it in the parlay?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, throw it in.
All right, let's do it. So, I mean, look, Kenny mentioned all the reasons. I think one of the other things when you look at this, look at this Tampa team, they scored 23 points against the Saints in week 1. And they're just not on the same page. They scored 31 against the Panthers. That wasn't a real 31. Like, Leonard Fournette had a total garbage time late game touchdown, and they really should have scored like 24 points. They're not going to get, I don't think, to 30 points. One other thing that I would add too is that when you go back and we've been mentioning in 2011, and I think that the data holds, right? I think 60% of overs or something around that are hitting in the first 2 weeks of the season. 2011, 8 of the 16 games played in week 3 featured less than 40 points scored. In other words,
what does 2011 have to do with this year?
The last time there wasn't a true offseason because of the work stoppage.
But they had 4 preseason games.
Yeah, that's true. Sure. If you want, I'm just saying that like the trends sort of match up in the sense that like these guys weren't completely ready. And so maybe it doesn't happen in week 3. Maybe it waits a little bit longer. I think you could see a little bit of a tightening up in terms of how these games are called and how the scoring ends up being in this third week.
The tackling's terrible. I told you the tackling would be terrible and the points would go up.
Right.
Exactly what happened.
But tackling should get better this week. And as
Correct.
I mentioned, it's that's also, you know what? Offensive PIs are down, even though some are well publicized, they're actually down, and defensive PIs are up double what they were last year. All that's going to the over, and that's why the totals are up 3.5 points. But you know what? Everything evens itself out in this league. Unders, overs, favorites, underdogs, they all even themselves out after time.
Right, and tackling will get better as they play.
Well, that's your point too about the stock market, Kenny. Like when the market is running like crazy, you don't dive in and start buying like crap stocks that are like artificially inflated. You wait, you sell out, and then you buy when it bumps back low. So this is the time to get those unders after 2 weeks of overs. So throw that in the parlay. The Broncos under. By the way, it's already down to 42. You okay with it at 42?
The power of the Pick Six podcast.
I know. While we're recording,
we're not even out there yet, and they're listening to us.
I know. Is 42? I got it at 43.5 yesterday. Is everybody okay with 42?
Sure.
Yeah, I made it 38, so I'm good with that.
Woo, all right. So 42, you can take it at 42. Obviously 43 preferable. It looks like the 42 -1 at 5, so you can probably get it. Bears at Falcons. The Falcons -3 at home after a crippling loss to the Cowboys. The over under 47.5. What do you think here, Kimmy?
I'm on Chicago. You know, it's hard for these teams to win 3 in a row, and last week they barely held on. I know they should have played much better against a Giant team who was out without Barkley in the second half, and they got completely outplayed. But again, talent-wise, after watching Atlanta, Atlanta's defense is down. Had to take several points off of their defense. Just have not looked good. They right now, power rating-wise, I have the Chicago Bears 1 point better. Nobody in the stands, no home field. Give me the points with the undefeated Bears.
I'm staying away. I think they really want you to take the Falcons at 3, and that's what I want to do. I mean, that defense has been awful, but Seattle and Dallas offenses are going to make a lot of defenses look awful. So I'm not going to hold that against them. I think they could still have a good defense, and we just don't know yet. If you take Chicago and they're down 2 touchdowns, you're going to wonder why you bet Mitchell Trubisky against Matt Ryan. So that might be my worry with them. I don't know if they're going to score a lot of points with Mitchell Trubisky at quarterback. So I'm staying away. My lean would be to Atlanta, but I'm going to stay away.
Yeah, I'm staying away too in terms of a best bet, but my lean would be to Atlanta as well. There's no way I'm taking Mitch Trubisky over Matt Ryan at home in Atlanta. No way. So my lean is to the Falcons, but it's not a best bet.
If Julio goes out, it might go down to 2.5 because I know Julio's a little bit in question because of an injury. At 2.5, I would take Atlanta even without Julio.
Yeah, I'm not a best bet at all. I lean Atlanta as well because the Bears are fraudulent 2-0, and Atlanta should probably – like they're going to be a desperate team, as RJ mentioned. 0-2 teams against the spread typically do pretty well. Although Me calling the Bears fraudulent multiple times over the past 3 to 5 days has resulted in a number of Bears fans in my Twitter mentions, which means that I'll probably look like an idiot. They'll come back and blitzkrieg me on Sunday when the Bears beat the Falcons. By the way, I should point out at William Hill, our partner and friendly old odds provider there, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Denver Broncos over under still at 43. So it's probably going to move down. So go ahead and jump on it if you are so inclined. Washington, the WFTs, heading to the Cleveland Browns, where, Kenny, the Browns are a 7-point favorite with an over-under of 45.
Yeah, this is a game that I really don't like. This is an ugly game. I was impressed with Baker Mayfield on Thursday night against Cincinnati. He showed the arm strength. He showed accuracy. He showed that he belongs in the NFL, but maybe that's just because he was up against a bad defense in Cincinnati. We'll find out. Washington, I think, a better defense. They got better pass rush. I don't know if he fits well against this defense. I think he'll be under pressure all night long by Washington's front four. So that's, I think, big factor in the game. Washington's got to get something done on offense, though. It's a very weak offense. I can see a low-scoring game, and I think with a lower-scoring game, I think +7. That's a big number. You're asking Cleveland to win by 2 scores. Yeah, they beat a team with a rookie quarterback. Well, I guess Dwayne Haskins not much better than a rookie, but I think Washington's defense is enough here to put pressure on him. I'm not big on this game because I made the game 4.5, but I'll take the 7 with the Washington football team.
Yeah, the look ahead was Cleveland 4.5. I hope you fired then if you like Cleveland, because Washington predictably collapsed against Arizona like we thought they would. At 7, I would still lean that way. That 0-2 against the spread stat applies to Cleveland. So I would lean that way. Washington just hasn't impressed me at all, but I'm going to stay away.
Yeah, I'm going to stay away too. I would probably lean to the Browns. I don't, though. Washington playing consecutive road games, always concerned to me. But I don't love this game because who knows what kind of Browns team is going to show up. So, and that front is dominant at times for for the Washington football team. I won't take the game as one of my best bets.
$5, Pete.
But I would go with the Browns if I had to.
Pete, you can PayPal me $5 for the swear jar.
No.
It's $1 for everyone.
No.
Panthers at Chargers. Justin Herbert making his second start of his career. This time he'll actually know it's coming. -6.5, Pete, against the Panthers, who are coming to town. The over-under 43.5. That's pretty low over-under for the Panthers, but they are playing a rookie quarterback.
But he didn't look like a rookie quarterback last week. My concern this week, though, is now he's starting, teams are preparing for him, and they're game planning for him. So what's he going to do? I do think the Chargers' defense is really good. We saw that last week. I think they'll keep the Panthers in check without McCaffrey. It's not my best bet, but my lean would probably be to the Chargers, but it would probably be the over, too. I think this number is way too low when I think that the Chargers will get their points early, and then they'll start scrambling for Carolina and lead to turnovers. I think the number's too low, but I don't have either one as a best bet.
My best bet is the Panthers +6.5. Love getting Teddy as a dog here, even with McCaffrey out. I think Mike Davis can play. There's been a lot of buzz around him. The line hasn't moved off the look ahead of 6.5 with Herbert versus Taylor, even with the Chargers almost beating the Chiefs. It tells you can't expect, that just seems ridiculous to me. You can't expect consistency from a rookie quarterback. He did some good things last week. I don't think we're going to see that this week. It's going to be a little harder for him, even against a bad defense, which we think is bad. We knew they'd be a problem. That offense is still outgaining, their opponents in yardage. So Carolina's still getting it done. And this is exactly the spot where you fade the Chargers. Chargers are 2-10-1 against the spread as home favorites since the start of 2018. This is where you'll love to play them. It's a letdown spot. They just missed a win against Kansas City, an overtime game last week. I think they'll be sluggish in this one. And so I love the Panthers, who are also 0-2 against the spread this season.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you mentioned that Leonard Fournette touchdown at the end of the game. Tampa needed 1 first down, and they would have been able to go to the victory formation. Final score 24-17. Carolina covers without McCaffrey in the second half. But I agree. RJ's right. Mike Davis is going to be a good running back. 8 receptions last week. He only ran it once because Carolina was throwing the ball over the field, but 8 receptions out of the backfield. And I think he's a pretty good running back. He's not Christian McCaffrey. It is a point drop-off, a 1.5 points actually to their entire offense. But I only had 2 points difference between the two teams going in with Herbert at quarterback. So the highest I can make LA at home is 3.5 with no home field. They never have any home field anyway, but 3.5 is about as high as I can make them. You're going to make the Chargers 6.5. They're one of the bottom 5 teams in the NFL with with the Panthers, but I'll take the 6.5.
I would take the Panthers plus. Pete, you don't want to do the Panthers as the best bet.
No, I don't know.
Yeah, I'll happily take the Panthers as the best bet. In fact, I don't want to add it post-mortem, so I'll stay away. But I think the Panthers are a great bet. I bet them apparently at 6.5 last night after I got into the red vino on Wednesday night.
What? Wait! You're burying the lead.
After tennis, man. I was,
what else do you do after you get into the vino?
Yeah, put some bets in. I was looking to see if I had the Broncos under. I was like, oh, but the Panthers too, because I think 6.5 is just too high. It's Herbert. He's a rookie quarterback. He can do some stuff. He's pretty good. But the Panthers have playmakers on defense. They'll get after him. I think you can limit what Austin Eckler does. The Chargers aren't going to blow anybody out. That's my thing. They couldn't move the ball well against the Bengals. I think they can. I think the Panthers can keep.
That was Tyrod, though.
That's fine. They're not going to open it up with Herbert. Yeah, look, the overs can't hit at 60% for the entire season. It just can't happen. Or else poor Kenny's going to be eating beef jerky from.
He'll be at the buffet at one of those Las Vegas hotels begging for a scrap.
Yeah, you gotta comp.
Anybody got an extra shrimp?
Are Vegas buffets going to come back? Do we think
They're supposedly are open? I think they're
Wow.
just doing it. You can't. They're doing it a different way. I think. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not a big buffet guy, anyways. Are you?
No, I've always been fine with a buffet at in certain situations.
See, my thing is, have you gone to Brazilian steakhouses where they bring the meats around and they serve it to you? I think
bridesmaids.
I think that's kind of how buffets are going to have to rejigger themselves and just kind of bring the food around on carts and the table and you pick it.
Yeah, nobody's going to be able to touch the spoon anymore.
Right. It'll be like family style
They'll
dining.
have individual plates that they'll hand you, and so you're not actually interacting with the food, and people aren't swapping germs back and forth.
That's right.
I'm one of those guys that I go to a buffet and I go, I don't get my money's worth, and I don't know, it's not my cup of tea.
I just don't. You're standing in line, everybody.
You got jockey and people like an idiot with his plate hitting you in the back of the back while he's moving, and it's.
You're also getting.
Let's put it this way: it is the perfect recipe to get into it with some jackass.
You're looking to fight somebody with a salad dressing. That's the spot to do it. All right, Pete, you got a couple more best bets. Let's get to these games. The Texans at the Steelers. Steelers -4, over under 45. Who you got?
Again, I'm going to say this. Boy, what did Bill O'Brien do to the schedule maker? My gosh. What a way to open the season. I mean,
remember a 3-game opener like
brutal.
this where you have the Chiefs, Ravens, and the Steelers? That's
it's not just the Chiefs, Ravens, and Steelers. It's the Chiefs in their opener on Thursday night, which makes it even worse. And it's the Ravens the next week, and then it's the Steelers on the road. It's brutal. I just watched this Texans team, and I don't think they're very good. I just don't. And not just based off of how they've played the first 2 weeks. Where do they do well? Deshaun Watson's good. He's not playing well. The offensive line's not playing well. They don't rush the passer that well. The secondary's not very good. They don't run the ball that well. What do they do well? They don't do anything well. And that's why I'm taking the Steelers as one of my best bets. It looks fishy, though. This looks really fishy. The number has come down. But you know what? Throw me the hook. I'm biting.
Yeah, it's really fishy because the look ahead was, I think, 6.5. And then Houston loses another game. The Steelers pull out a win, and the line moves toward the Texans. So that kind of tells you that the market or the bookmakers kind of think that the Texans aren't as bad as what Pete is seeing right now. My lean would be to Houston. They lost the games they were supposed to lose. We knew they were going to lose those games. Pittsburgh's 2-0, but I don't think they've looked that great. I thought they were going to look better over the first 2 weeks with Ben coming back. The offense has been a little inconsistent. Defense has having trouble stopping Jeff Driscoll last week for some reason. And Houston's one of those 0-2 against the spread teams that I keep harping on. So my lean would be to Houston. I'm definitely not playing the Steelers, but I wanted to get it at 6. And since I can't get it at 6, I'm going to stay away.
Yeah, I don't. I've took the Texans in our picks pool. Would it surprise me if the Texans won or lost by 25? Absolutely not. This is a team with a lot of variance. Bill O'Brien seems hell-bent on just feeding David Johnson and proving that it was a good trade when it's already been proved. I mean, we could be wrong. It could end up working out because the NFL is weird. But right now, it doesn't look like a good trade as everyone predicted. I'll take the Texans or pass. wouldn't play this game. I would maybe lean a little towards the under at 45. I could see a lack of points in this game.
I don't love playing Deshaun Watson on unders. I would just stay away.
He might throw one of his 26 that he throws every year in this game, or 2.
Pete's saying that 26 touchdowns is not impressive.
That's all he's ever thrown.
That's his career high, 26 passing touchdowns.
Yeah, that's not enough. He should be doing more. But no, and in fairness to him, he doesn't have a lot of help.
No, he doesn't. Brandon Cooks.
And he's also, what, 24, 25?
But Rodgers threw 26 last year, and everybody said he was a bum.
Well, we know Rodgers' ceiling. We haven't seen Deshaun's ceiling yet, I don't think.
No, I think he needs to pick it up. You got the contract. It's time to pick it up. And this is the week. Show you can go into Pittsburgh and win that game against that defense.
And speaking of that schedule, we said, the first 4 or 5, maybe even 6 weeks were brutal. Guess who they got coming in week 4? Minnesota. That ain't a brutal matchup anymore.
No.
That's true. It's a great segue to our next game, actually, because the Vikings are hosting the Tennessee Titans, and the Vikings, unbelievable that we're here in week 3, and the Minnesota Vikings are home dogs to Tennessee. Tennessee minus 2.5 in Minnesota. Obviously, no fans. Over under 49.5, Pete.
I watched Tennessee on tape the other day, and that defense is awful. Awful. Gardner Minshew could have done what he wanted to do, when he wanted to, how he wanted to. They're bad. They don't rush the passer that well. Now, the Vikings haven't played well. I'm not going to say they have. And Kirk Cousins was awful last week. But you know me, I believe in Kirk Cousins. And this week, I'm a big Kirk Cousins believer. I think they're going to be able to move the football on the Titans. I think desperation sets in here. I really believe that they will find a way to not only cover that number, I think they win this game outright.
Well, it wouldn't be that hard. It's 2.5. Minnesota's another 0-2 against the spread team, so that's a trend. You're like, I'm going to play them. Well, Tennessee is somehow also 0-2 against the spread, despite a 2-0 straight-up record. So you can't really play the trend because there's going to be 2 0-2 against the spread teams. Minnesota D lost another key piece in Anthony Barr. 5.5 yards per carry allowed in 2019 without Barr on the defense. That's 67 snaps overall. 4 yards per carry allowed with Barr on the field. So that could be a key piece to where Derrick Henry has the game we thought he was going to have last week with 200 yards and 4 touchdowns, whatever. So my lean would be to Tennessee because I could see this being a big Derrick Henry game against a Minnesota team that's struggling, but I'm staying away. I
would take Tennessee in the spot as well. And look, I understand what you're saying, Pete. We've been harping on 0-2 teams, right, that need to have a big game. I mean, it's sort of unfair to point out, but they're not all going to cover. And I think Minnesota is being treated like they're the Vikings from 2019. Or the Vikings with the expectations of 2020, and I don't think they're that good. I don't think Zimmer's willing.
If they lose this week, then we know they're not good. If they don't win this week, they're done. They're packing it up.
So here's the thing about this line. It's 2.5, right? That's what it was with Denver when Von Miller went out. So this team, the market is equating what Denver was in week 1 to what Minnesota is now. I think there's still some bottom to fall out from Minnesota. I think they're worse than what we thought Denver was in week 1. So I still do. I think you play this game 6 weeks from now, it could be Tennessee minus 4.5.
But Tennessee could easily be 0-2 too.
Right.
They're not that good.
Yeah, they play that well, but like at least I feel like you know what they are offensively, and they know what they are offensively.
They got a late game drive to go win at Denver against a bad team, and Jacksonville. Who knows how good they are? And they had a pick late in the game to get it to seal that game. Otherwise, Minshew goes down and at least ties it.
Right. So, the first game was all kicking. Like they should have won that game by 10.
I agree, but the reality is you didn't make your kicks, and they needed a late game drive to go win it. They're not that good. I'm
saying they outplayed Denver in that game a lot more than what the score showed.
Did they outplay Jacksonville last week?
No, but Jacksonville's going to the playoffs, Pete. Come on.
What if Jacksonville's offense is just good? And it's a little tougher to talk.
They don't rush the passer. This isn't another team that has, despite having Clowney, they don't rush the passer that well. They're not a good pass rushing team. Teams that can't rush the passer.
Cousins might throw 18 times. Like you don't have to.
He'll throw more than that this week. You watch.
You think so?
Bad last week too.
You think they'll open up the offense?
Yes. I mean, he was terrible last week. I think they're going to throw it. That's why. Who was it that said? One of our buddies, I think it was Nick Costas, said he likes Kirk Cousins
and Justin Jefferson and the Millie Maker.
Yeah.
Nick
I don't know where. I wouldn't go that far.
I tell you what, if they hit you and you win the $1 million, you earned it. You ain't gonna.
Yeah.
You go them and you do all the chalk you want.
I like Cousins though this week. I just don't know if I like him that much.
Interesting. Okay. All right, Pete. We'll let you go. You got to go do HQ. Join Kenny on the.
I feel a good week coming for all of us again.
I do too. I think
we're
we
on
stay
fire.
hot. I think we're.
I bet there's not I bet there's not a podcast or a show or anything that's been as hot as we've been.
How could they?
Making games? No way.
Like
what are we at combined? What's our combined record?
I think are you asking me or asking Debo?
Yeah. So it's you're 8-1. I'm
so 17-3, 19-4, and then 28-9. That is.
Can you imagine? There's no way that anybody's that good.
Now
no
a lot of those are.
I know, but still.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
Some are also against each other too. Sometimes, we had one person hit the Rams last week and 2 missed. So,
That's true.
Back and forth.
That's a good point. All right, Pete.
All right.
It was a pleasure,
See you
buddy.
guys.
All right, so RJ and I are going to rip through the rest of the games. By the way, I've noticed on YouTube that people watching it say, hey, put up a screenshot of the best bets or a graphic of the best bets at the end of the show. I don't blame you because I've listened to podcasts where they don't do that, and it is frustrating because you're like, I can't write all this stuff down during the podcast. So what we're going to do at the end of the show, I will verbally recap them, and I will remind you. If you go to Instagram.com/pick6 or pick6pod, excuse me, go find the Pick6 podcast on Instagram. First of all, it's a hilarious account and the guys crush it. And people think I do it too. And I'm fine pretending like it's me. Second of all, they post all our best bets on the Instagram feed. So you can go there and get a visual representation if for some reason we don't have a graphic ready for you. Rams at Bills, RJ. The Bills are minus 2.5 against a Sean McVay team. Night of the Living Sean matchup here. Over under 47. You and I are in agreement here. I think you watch the Rams and this Sean McVay went back in the offseason and rebooted everything, and it's just a good football team.
Yeah, in Buffalo, you look at them, they had 2 easy matchups, and they almost lost one. This is their first real test. The Rams smoked what I thought was a pretty good Eagles defense coming into the year, and they may be still a good defense, and it might just be that McVay stole, Schwartz's lunch money and just had the perfect scheme called up. So I'm not ready to put a fork in the Eagles defense yet, but that's, pretty impressive for what you see from the Rams. Rams might be able to do that against the Bills, depending on their health, especially at linebacker where Miami exposed some issues there. The Rams, this is a 1 p.m. Eastern start. Rams coming west to east again. Oh, maybe that's a problem. Well, they have had no problem at 1 p.m. They're 5-0 straight up and against the spread on the road in that window under McVay. With Goff playing well, the Rams are ranked first in net yards per attempt passing the ball. The Rams also win with the run, too. They've had the second most rush attempts through 2 weeks. They're third in rush yards. The offense is spreading the ball around when it throws it. It's going to be harder for Buffalo to stop. You can't key on one receiver and you could sick Ramsey on Diggs, and that's going to help. But then you still got to contend with Brown and Beasley and all the other guys. So I think the Rams can do that. I think Ramsey's going to have a decent day against Diggs. And then, good luck chopping Robert Woods in this revenge spot for him against Buffalo.
Yeah, I think one of the differences between the Dolphins and the Jets and the Rams is Aaron Donald. And another of the differences is Jalen Ramsey. I mean, like the Dolphins and the Jets suck. They suck. Like, I don't think people understand that the Dolphins who played last night, and knowing my luck, as we were like they'll won 49-0 against the Jaguars. I'll look like an idiot. But the Dolphins and the Jets aren't good football teams. The Jets are by far the worst. I would assume they're dead ass last in your power ranking.
They're not quite. They're a half point better than Washington, but that's just because I don't make massive moves. I'm not going to be the guy that puts the Raiders plus 3.5 like Kenny has them. It slowly gets to that point, builds to that point. So I'm worried about overreacting. So I had the Jets a little higher than I should have coming into the year. I had them like at minus 4.5. 4.5 points worse than an average team.
If you were starting your ratings right now, you would have the Jets last easily.
Yeah, I would have them last. I probably have Washington a point better than the Jets at this point.
Yeah, and I mean, look, the Jets. I mean, I don't know. We'll talk about the Jets in a second, but I mean, I think the Bills are really good. I think it's a very good Bills team. They're well coached. They have constructed a very good, nice, consistent roster. Josh Allen is taking a step forward in his career this year. He is taking the leap. However, the hype train is a bit much for me. And Stephon Diggs, as good as he is, I think Jalen Ramsey can lock him down or at least mitigate the damage that he'll do. I mean, Byron Jones suffered a groin injury trying to cover him late, and it just did a poor job against him. There's a much better pass rush here just because of Aaron Donald for the Rams. Brandon Staley's calling a fantastic game right now, and Sean McVay's cooking with gas on offense. And I don't think Buffalo, especially if Matt Milano and Tremaine Edmonds are out, will be able to slow down what they want to do in terms of motion and the run game. Darrell Henderson, I think, is primed for a nice outing against the Bills. So I will take the Rams on the road as an underdog as well. Do you think we can talk Pete into giving us – I think Pete would push back against that, don't you?
Probably. Do you have his picks on the site up? Because
I do, actually. I'm glad that you asked that. I had that open. I was just about to look at it.
Because if he has the Rams, as against the spread and throw them in.
He has the Bills, 2-0.
Figures.
Yeah. I think Pete is definitely would be opposed to that as part of the parlay. So I think we pass.
It's 2 vetoes for Pete because he vetoed us on the Chargers.
Oh, he did. Yeah. He loves Herbert and Allen. He doesn't like to bet against his guys. That's the problem. You got to be willing to bet against your guys, Like, you can love the Bills and Josh Allen all you want, but if you think the Rams are going to win the game, bet on the Rams. The Lions, he said prior to letting the world know that he's betting on the Lions this week as they go to play the Cardinals, Lions plus 5.5. The over-under is 55 in this game. Very interesting matchup here. I think everyone will be on the Cardinals, and I think I like the Lions. What say you?
I also would lean the Lions. I'm not making it a best bet just with how ugly Detroit is look, but I think that's the side of the line you want to be on. 55 also seems like an under to me. We were talking about how these over-unders are inflated. I mean, that's a lot of points. Arizona looks legit. I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you the reasons why Arizona is a paper tiger because I think they're going to be in the playoffs. I think they're a good team. But this line was 3.5 on the look-ahead, so it feels like a trap to take them at 5.5. Detroit's probably going to have their best receiver back for the first time this season. Galladay was practicing earlier in the week. That's going to help with the backdoor potential if they need it. Detroit's down 10. Galladay's in the lineup. It's a lot easier to get a touchdown with Galladay. And Detroit's one of those 0-2 ATS teams that, I've been talking about as a trend. They're going to have to cover some point. 0-2 against the spread teams have been profitable so far. So let's roll with them. Yeah.
So I would also point out a couple of things. Against the Bears, the Lions should have won that game. They had that game in hand and just sort of gagged it. And that's a problem, certainly. But it's a little bit easier if you're catching 5.5 in case you blow a game like that.
Right.
And against the Packers, they're up 14-3 and just sort of melted down. And Green Bay got hot and then had a pick six and then had a long touchdown run. It was over before they could even get into it. Matthew Stafford's average depth of target is like 6 yards shorter without Kenny Galladay in there. It's a totally different offense. Were you about to point out that they should have won with DeAndre
I was going to say
Swift?
the indicator with the Lions is watch the injury report for their cornerbacks because they were destroying the Bears, and then their third cornerback of the game got hurt. Well, I guess Okuda was out before the game, but then Coleman goes out in the first half. Then when Trufant goes down, that's when the Bears storm back. So they had cornerback issues going into the Green Bay game, and Green Bay went all over, threw the ball all over them. So if you see Coleman getting healthy or Trufant getting healthy or whatever, and they start to get healthy, that's when you should figure that the Lions are going to start turning it around.
Yeah, I agree completely. And I would anticipate that this is actually not a DeAndre Hopkins game and that the Cardinals try to pound the ball with Kenyon Drake and maybe even some Chase Edmonds and just eat up clock. And they're not going to try and be all flashy. I don't think anyway. As for I don't want to, rip on a colleague here, but Patrick Peterson didn't exactly contain Terry McLaurin. And the only reason I say Patrick Peterson's a colleague, he's got a brand new podcast, All Things Covered, with our buddy Bryant McFadden, part of the CBS Sports Podcast Network. Go check that out. Their first guest. Have you listened to it yet? Well, you're a company man, so you know who the first guest is, right?
Of course I do.
It is
Tyron Mathieu.
That's right. Sorry, I'm going to say it myself.
Tyron Mathieu
Is the first guest on All Things Covered. You should go check that out. Do you think Pat P played well against Terry McLaurin?
I think he had his moments. I mean, they dominated that game, so it's not like he had to do too much against McLaurin. But McLaurin's a talented player; he's going to get his. But all Patrick Peterson cares about is that win. They're 2-0. They look like a playoff team, and you can't criticize them too much for anything.
Hey, I picked him to win the West. I'm here. I hope if the Cardinals fillet the Lions, I'm gonna have a win either way. But I sort of feeling a little heat on this Lions pick. Bengals at Eagles. Eagles minus 4.5, over under 46.5. This might be the toughest game to pick on the entire spread today.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier I'm not buying that Philly's bad just yet. I think the D shows up here after getting embarrassed by the Rams. They have something to prove. Going against the rookie quarterback on the road, who's going to be on the road. This line was 5.5. It dropped down to 4.5. I'm obviously going to play the Eagles a lot better when they're 4.5. So my lean is to them. Still not going to put it in as a best bet. I thought the offensive line bounced back last week. They had no sacks allowed against a good defensive front. So this is after giving up 8 the week before. And this is a lot easier matchup here going against this Bengals team, probably without Geno Atkins again, still have issues on the defensive line because of injuries. And in fact, that whole defense should be a much easier overall matchup for the Philly offense. Miles Sanders might be able to run for 200 yards, and it wouldn't surprise me. Then you throw in Philly's another one of those 0-2 ATS teams. It just seems like a great spot for them to win this game and cover the 4.5 pretty easily.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to bet against Joe Burrow anymore.
He's not going to, go 16-0 against the spread or I think that's what he is, right? I mean, he was 2-0, right? Because I think the Chargers were 4 and they lost by 3.
Yeah.
Or was it 3 and they lost by 4? So he's 1-1.
I think he's 1-1.
Yeah. So the line was 3 and they lost by 4.
You got fake booze coming from the. I don't know. I think I lean Bengals here. This is a stay away from me. I don't want to take anything on this. The Eagles need to get right in a bad way, and this is a perfect team to get right against. Devo, what's your confidence meter on the Eagles winning this week?
On Sunday with Breach, I said it was like a 7 or an 8. I think throughout the week, I talked myself down, and it's like a 4 or 5 now, and I'm just fearful of that 0-3 start.
Come on.
I know.
So Miles Sanders, Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert, they don't even need the receivers.
They need a quarterback, though, and I'm not saying Carson Wentz should be replaced. I'm not calling for any of that nonsense, but he needs to play better.
He'll be fine. It's been 2 weeks.
There's no question he needs to play better. So you're not worried about it.
Fine. I'm in the middle. I'm definitely not super confident as I should be against John Breach's Bengals.
We knew that Washington front was going to be an issue with their injuries on the offensive line, and that's the one spot where Washington is strong is the defensive line. So we knew that was going to be an issue. And then he just got out-schemed by a really good offensive, guru there in Sean McVay in week 2. So it sounds like I'm making a bunch of excuses, but there's a reason they're 4.5-point favorites in this game, even though they're 0-2 and Carson Wentz looks terrible. It's because they still got the potential to, be an 8-9 win team.
Yeah, I appreciate your excuses, RJ. I'll take them all, and I think Lane Johnson makes a world of difference. You're completely right. That offensive line was not an issue whatsoever last week.
I'm auditioning for a second role, in my next life as a Philadelphia sports radio host, just talking up the Eagles.
I don't know. You're not negative enough.
I'm trying to look at on Establish a Run to see where Brandon Thorne does the OLDL rankings. I can't find it for some reason. Where it is. Usually it's up there. Usually, you're not right this week because it's actually if you take his number 1 mismatches on there, it's actually like a pretty good indicator of who might be a good it tends to like if you pick out the matchups, you can typically do well against a spread because Brandon's very good at breaking down the OL deals, and I think he has the Bengals as a bottom 5 offensive line, and that's no surprise. And the Eagles. They're going to come out angry, and maybe they get after Joe Burrow. So you're sort of talking me into that. I think you should be confident, Devo. I think you should be confident. So there, got that. You got a vote of confidence from your podcast host. Jets at Colts. Colts minus 11.5. The over under for this game is 44. Fun fact, RJ, the number 1 receiver for the New York Football Jets this week will be Braxton Berrios.
Yeah, you don't like Braxton Berrios?
I love Braxton Berrios. I just don't know if I'd want to be my number 1 receiver.
Yeah, my lean, I think you have a best bet in this, and I actually back that. So if we want to make that the third part of the parlay, I'm okay. I'm also okay with my my lean or my best bet in the next game if you like that one. But I would lean to the under here. I would lean to the Jets plus 11.5. This line moved 4.5 points off the look ahead of Colts minus 7. And I don't think the Jets are bad, but they can't get rolled in every game. I mean, sure, they could be Miami losing 59-10, whatever, in the week 1, and Miami got their stuff together as the year went on. So I still have some questions about this Indy offense. They beat up on Minnesota. That doesn't impress me that much. And this is the biggest line of the year in any game. Does Indianapolis deserve to be the biggest favorite of the year through 3 weeks with what we've seen from them? I don't think so. Give me the Jets. 0-2 against the spread. It's not a best bet, so it's just a lean. But I think that they're a good bet there with 11.5 points is too much.
Allow me quickly. Well, maybe not quickly, but I'm going to read the Jets injury report. Jamison Crowder, Connor McGovern, Steve McClendon, Brashad Perryman, Quincy Wilson, Kalen Ballage, Mekhi Becton, Ashton Davis, George Fant, Nate Harrison, Chris Hogan, LaMichael Pirine, Josh Andrews, Joe Flacco, Harvey Lange, Avery Williamson, and Frank Gore.
Some of those are full practices. Some are limited to start the week. They'll probably play. The ones you have to worry about is those didn't practice. And there's probably 5 or 6 of those. Two top receivers. Crowder's obviously the biggest one. So we'll worry about what happens at receiver. But I mean, with this Jets team going into the season, the backups are about as talented as the starters. It's not a good team.
That's fair. It's not a huge problem. This is the only game you can play in a Survivor League, right?
Yeah. I mean, everybody's going to play it. Yeah. If you want to be contrarian, I'm sure you could find something else. I wouldn't mind Cleveland against Washington, and there could be some other spots to play. But you got to figure everyone's taking this game.
Yeah, I mean, you're sort of just moving on to week 4, or not moving on. Like if you go contrarian, and the Jets manage to beat the Colts, and look, the Colts have Phillip Rivers' worse losses than this on his resume.
Right, the Jets are terrible, but I don't think they're going to go 0-16.
I don't either, and I think that offensive line will come together, and Darnold will play well down the stretch. I don't think they're winning this game, though. It's in Indy. Indy can pound the ball. I think they'll shorten the game. Jets can't stop anybody. We'll see. I would take I'm not taking the Colts minus 11.5. That's a ridiculous number, but I like the under at 44. I think that's too high. This is a game that finishes like 20-14.
Yeah, and I'm with you on the under. So if you want to parlay it, we can parlay it.
Let's do that. I think Pete or Kenny would get down for that. Kenny wants unders.
Right.
Pete can't think the Jets are going to Adam Gase said they're going to go into like ludicrous speed. What is this? Spaceballs, bro? Get out of here. It's ridiculous. All right, so that's the parlay. Cowboys +5. Something that I'm forgetting.
Bucs-Broncos under.
Thank you. Bucs-Broncos under. And the Jets-Colts under. I like this. We're zigging. We're going with a dog and two unders. But people are going to be looking for these overs after a very nice first 2 weeks for overs. 49ers at the Giants. Final game of the week. And boy, is this a stinker. The 49ers -4. And their second straight game in MetLife Stadium. By the way, how about the Jets injury reports loaded to the gills? I don't know. Maybe stop playing on this turf. Saquon Barkley got hurt somewhere else, but still. And the 49ers are crippled with injuries. They're going back to play on this MetLife Stadium turf. They're 4-point favorites. The over is 41.5. What do you like here?
Yeah, speaking of the unders, I love the under. Best bet on this game, 41.5. San Fran dealing with a bunch of injuries. Can't trust the Giants versus that D anyway. I don't care how many injuries. Nick Bosa, you can throw the top 6 defensive linemen on the San Francisco team out, and I still trust them to get some pressure, against this Giants line. Mullins was not impressive in relief last week. I know he had to play a lot for Garoppolo when Garoppolo, got hurt in 2018, but he did not look great last week to me. I don't want to trust him here, so I can't back the 49ers either. We'll see what Garrett cooks up with no Saquon, but I'm not that optimistic. We're not big fans of Jason Garrett on this podcast. He got fired for a reason. So I think Shanahan's going to focus a lot on running the ball and winning a low-scoring game. Doesn't want to expose himself to too many injuries, shorten the game, get out of there with a win, and it'll be a low-scoring game. So under 41.5 is a great bet to me.
I like it. Should we throw a fourth game in the parlay?
Ooh, you're pushing it now.
Yes, we are. Devo, what do you think? What's the spirit? What's the stake here?
Let's roll with it. I'm not betting it anyway, so let's just go for it.
Let's do the fourth game only if you guarantee, Brinson, that you're not going to bet it, because that's been our good luck charm.
Okay, I will delete this from my ticket right now. I was putting it in. I just think we got good value on these unders, and I think these unders can come in, and then we just need the Cowboys to stay within 5.
Will, if that was on your ticket, how much would that pay out?
Well, it's just a 4-game parlay, so
11-1 or so.
11-1, yeah.
11-1.
Yeah, I definitely won't bet it.
If you bet it and we lose, I'm gonna be mad.
I won't bet it. I think Kenny would be all aboard this.
Yeah, let's do it then.
I think Pete would too. There's 3 slow-paced games, and the Kyle Shanahan. I honestly think I wouldn't be surprised if Kyle Shanahan came into this game and said, we are going to play our backups. We are going to run the ball 75 times. We are going to use up the entire play clock every single time. And we're just going to play defense and try and prevent them from scoring 10 points. And just eat up clock and get out of Dodge as fast. Like, if you're Kyle Shanahan, you're furious that you're playing back on this. Like, you think you're coming in here in 2020 to defend your NFC title, and all of a sudden MetLife Stadium is screwing you because, like, it's ripping your players' legs apart. Like, I would be irate if I'm Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, if you can prove it was the turf, I mean, it's the easiest thing to blame, but they're the team that has gotten the most hurt, in these long-term injuries from the turf. 3 other teams have played in this game and managed to survive. So
that's fair. Okay. Well, I'm just saying, I think Kyle Shanahan will make some sort of statement, and it will help the under is why I think that will work. So I like the under there as well. All right, let's take those 3 unders and let's recap what we've got going on here. So Kenny, after a slow week 2, which is 3 best bets, comes out firing. Kenny has the Cowboys +5, the Raiders +5, Bucs-Broncos under 43.5, Bears +3, Washington +7, and Panthers +6.5. That is a very sharp looking, a lot of unders, a lot of dogs. Pete, not so much. Chiefs, Ravens over 54.5. Packers +3. Packers, Saints over 52.5. Cowboys +5. Steelers -4. And the Vikings +2.5. I don't mind those picks either, really, except the Packers and the Steelers. Do you want to read yours? Or you want me to, RJ?
go for it.
RJ has the Cowboys +5. The Chiefs +3.5. The Rams +2.5. Carolina +6.5. New Orleans -3, San Fran, New York under 41.5, and the Patriots -5.
And there was no teaser of the week there. If I was going to tease my top 2 teams in my teaser column, I just took straight in these picks. It was the Rams tease them up to +8.5, and the Chiefs tease them up to +9.5. Chiefs aren't getting blown out, and Rams I don't think can get blown out by the Bucs.
What's your teaser record so far?
2-0.
Okay. How does that lose?
The Rams fall flat on their face, second straight game going to the East Coast, and the Bills are for real, and they put up 30-something points. That's the only thing I'm worried about. I can't see the Chiefs losing by double digits.
30-21, or like 30,
something like that.
It's hard to imagine that happening. NC State KC moneyline parlay pays 8-1. If anybody's interested in that. No takers. Okay, my best bets are the Patriots -5. These are not my best bets, D-Bet, unfortunately. It's okay. I will, hold on, give me 1 second. I will tell you what my best bets are. My best bets are Cowboys-Seahawks over. It's up to 56 -115. Is it too much?
Good luck.
It's too much, isn't it?
I mean, yeah, 56 for any over is a lot. I mean, but those offenses are clicking.
I mean, I just don't know. I don't think they're slowing anybody down. I think they're just taking shots all over the field. I'm taking the over. Screw it. Patriots -6. Saints -3. Rams +2.5. Pats Broncos under 43.5. And the Colts Jets under, which I think is 43.5 or 44. 44. I like it either number, but obviously you prefer when you're taking under to have the highest possible number. Okay. And our podcast parlay is the Broncos Buccaneers under, the 49ers Giants under, the Colts Jets under, and the Cowboys +5. You parlay those 4 games together. Do you have any interest in the Cowboys money line?
Yeah, I don't mind that. Seattle's going to roll through everybody. So
if you want to go, if you're feeling frisky, if you want to spend the cash that you made the first 2 weeks, create a separate smaller unit parlay and use the Cowboys money line because it's 2-1 almost. It'll juice up that parlay probably close to 15, 20-1.
Yeah, I wouldn't mess with it in the parlay. I would just, if you like the Cowboys money line, just take the Cowboys money line. I don't want to get crazy with just one team here in this parlay.
I highly recommend listening to RJ when you're making those decisions. Yours truly is quite fond of making quite irrational betting decisions on game, like in the heat of the moment. Like, Celtics, Cowboys, Like, sticking with this this John Bones fellow in UFC. What could go up? It's already lost, and it's gone, and it's gone,
And it's gone.
and it's gone. All right, that's the show. Check out the podcast thing on Instagram. Follow RJ White on Twitter at RJWhite1. If you want to go to sportsline.com and get RJ's 9 picks for $1 for the first month, use promo code White. Always a pleasure, buddy.